Hey, Scrapbook friends, it's Nicole, and I'm back with another episode of my Christmas in July series that I'm doing this July with the Joy to the World paper packs from Creative Memories. There's a designer and a tone on tone. I'm also using the embellishments, and down the line I'll be using some of the stickers and the mats, but for today we're just going to be using some really basic stuff. And one of the things I love about this layout is that it would not have to be Christmas. Even if you're using these papers from the Joy to the World, if you left off these embellishments and use some different embellishments, can totally change the look. So all we're gonna need for this one is the Argyle paper. It's Argyle on one side and this blue star. We're not gonna use the blue star side for this. We're also going to use the solid green with the little Christmas trees on it. It's got the holly on the back, but we're not going to use the holly. If you don't have this one, you could use a different green paper, or you wanted to use this for something else. And then I'm going to use a piece of platinum shimmer and some scraps of platinum shimmer. Hopefully you are like me and you've got some extra little pieces of this hanging around. And then for our base, we're going to use 2 pieces of navy cardstock. So I'm going to set those aside and set my sample aside. And we're just going to start with the construction. So the first thing that we want to do is take the Argyle paper and cut it to 9 inches tall. And when I say in height, I want the Argyles to be this way on my layout. Excuse me. So I'm going to cut it at 9 inches. Okay. And then I want to cut at 1.5 inches. Let's see, is that what I did? Yeah, I think that's what I did. 1.5 inches right here. Not lining up quite straight for me, and I'm not sure why. See that? It's not lining up straight. So what have I done? Should I cut this crooked? I think I forgot to know. I got my little leg. You know this trimmer has a little leg right here, right, that you can flip up or down. So I like to keep that up to keep my paper straight. Line it up with the top. Just checking my cut. Yeah, right here looks like I didn't quite cut it straight. I'm not sure what I did. I just even it up a little bit. So mine is going to be a little hair smaller than 9 inches. But now I'm going to take this and cut 1.5 inches off the end. Actually, let me measure. There's a chance it was more than that. Nope, I guess I got it right. Okay, 1.5 inches off the end. So now I have this piece, which is 1.5 by 9. And this piece, which is 10.5 by 9. And then I'm going to want a piece of the green to fill in the other section. And I want a piece that's going to be big enough to mat a photo. So I want a 6.5 inch wide piece. And I only need 6.5 by 9, but I'm going to go ahead and cut the whole 6.5. Save this for some other project. And then again, this is going to be 9, but because this one I was off by a smidge, I'm going to line it up this way. I think it's like 8 and a hair. So you just want it to be the same height as the other piece that you cut. All right, so that's basically the pieces we're going to be using for the base. Then we're going to take our scrap of platinum shimmer cardstock, and I'm going to be using the circle punch. If you don't have the circle punch, this is a 1 3/4 inch circle. Our custom cutting system does not cut this size, but you're going to need 5 of these. And if you have a different size circle, you can make it work. But this just, having this tool just makes it so much faster. And then for your with your other piece of platinum shimmer, you were going to cut your photo mats, but I'm going to let you wait and cut your mats later based on what the orientation of your photos is. So these little circles I want to cut in half. They're just a smidge small to use the trick of balancing them in this valley part of the trimmer. You know, ordinarily you can put a circle in this valley, and then when you cut, it cuts exactly down the middle. Now it still does that, but it doesn't cut all the way through because it goes too far down into the valley. But we're just going to start the cut with this, and I'm going to stack 2 right here. And then, and you can do it at either end. I tend to do it up at the top, I think, because it shows up better on the video. And then just take your scissors or your microchips. These are still stuck together. And just by lining up the edge of your blade along the piece that's already cut, you can just snip out and finish that edge. Okay, be careful that if you're cutting through 2 at a time that they're straight. Okay. That's pretty much all the cutting we're going to do for this layout. So I really like it. And this would be super cute with some other papers. In fact, maybe I'll even cut it with some other papers and attach it at the end of the video. I haven't done that yet. I haven't tried that, but that could be really fun with, you know, different if you're not doing Christmas right now. And then I'm going to position these so that the argyle is on the right side over here. And then I put the green here. Oh, I forgot to tell you, make sure when you cut it that if there's a direction to your pattern, you have it the right direction that you want. I wanted my trees to be up and down. And we're just going to kind of position it like this. If you wanted to, you could cut out this part of your navy cardstock, maybe even this part of it. I'm not going to, just because I feel like I want the whole support under here. And I'm going to position this right in the center. And so since it's 9 inches-ish, I know that means I need 1.5 inches from the top and bottom. And I just know that because I've done so much scrapbooking and so much scrapbook subtraction. But I'm going to use my mat right here and position it 1.5 inches from the bottom. And because this wasn't exactly 9, actually I'm going to do it 1.5 inches from the top. Because this wasn't exactly 9 inches, I do have just a hair that's longer. It doesn't quite center it, but whenever I have an separate, let's see, words aren't coming. Whenever it's not exactly even, I like to put the wider space at the bottom. There's this concept of visual weight. And your brain just likes it better if the wider, aka the heavier part, would be on the bottom. So once you've done it with your first piece, then you don't need to use the grid anymore to line up your pieces. We're gonna line this up. This one's a smidge taller, even though I thought I lined them up the same. Okay, and then we're going to line up the little 1.5 inch by 9 piece right here. All right, and already like this would make a nice base for lots of different things you could do with a background. Let me write these numbers down. I always mean to write them down before I start so that you can reference that. This one is 6.5 by 9. And this is 1.5 by 9. All right, so those are your pieces for this base background that we're going to do. Now, the sad thing about the 1 3/4 is that it doesn't exactly equal 9 inches. There's no way to divide it to make it exactly, but you can come really close. And so I'm going to use my 0 centering ruler. Okay, I have 2 of these because when Creative Memories first came out with this, it was a regular ruler. And then they came out with the 0 centering ruler. But for this one, I really want to use the 0 centering because it's going to help me to position my little circles. And so what I'm going to do is take my zero centering ruler and line it up along the edge of this little 1.5 inch piece so that it is centered. So it's going to be 4.5 on this side, 4.5, although I'm going to have to wiggle that a little bit because I wasn't exactly on center. All right, and then I'm going to take one of my half circles and position it right in the middle. So with the 1 3/4, basically what that does is give me 1/8 of an inch clearance on either side. Let's see if I can lift this up. Oh wait, I can try and, let me pull down actually. I'll pull down and maybe zoom. Let's see if I can zoom that, if that's too high. Okay, let's put this under here. Actually, this is a it must be a 2-inch Post-it note. So if I'm under here, this, you know, I've got this centered on my paper, but you see these are the little 1/8 of an inch marks on either side. So I'm just positioning that at the right in the center, and that's what I like about the zero centering ruler because it helps me find the center. Then I'm going to take 2 more and I'm going to line them up with the edge, the very outside edge. And I don't need to measure any of this because there's going to be just enough space for these little, these other 2 circles to just be centered with, you know, somewhere between 1/8 and 1/16 of an inch between them. Just a little bit of smidge of space. That one's not actually touching the paper. See, so you're not exactly completely lining them up, but by positioning the middle one first and then the 2 outside ones, and then you just center these. And that will just give you that nice visual look of having them all lined up. And then we're going to do the exact same thing with the other side. I'll put this in the middle again and we'll see if that helps you see what I'm talking about. So here's my zero centering ruler, which I can see better than you can see. And because it's 9 inches, I know that it's 4.5 inches on either side from the center, but the 0 is the center, and then these the little edges of my half circle need to go to right about the 1/8 of an inch, 7/8 on either side, and that's going to be centered. Okay, and then position the outside circle. And then just center these in between the other 2 pieces. All right, so that's kind of building the base background page. But what I found then is that this is a very plain layout. And I don't mind plain. I want my photos to be the center of attention, of course, on my layouts. But, oh gosh, moving the camera was maybe not my smartest plan. I want my photos to be the center of attention, but this was just too plain for me. So I just took my metallic silver dual tip pen, Creative Memories. And if you notice, one side has a fine tip and one side has a round tip. I will tell you that the fine tip on the metallics is not the same as the fine tip on our regular pens. So here's the black, and this is the fine tip. And you'll see that it's a little bit different. The fine tip on our black pen is a really fine tip. The fine tip on the metallic is more of like a brush, like a felt tip pen. I do not love this for journaling. It does not write super fine. I have a piece I can show you on. I guess I will just be using another trusty Post-it note. But this is their supposedly fine tip, and I just feel like it's very wide compared to the fine tip of the regular pens. Okay, so just be aware of that with the with the metallic. For whatever reason, it's a feature and or a bug of the fine tip. But I use the round tip side, and I'm not going to take time to do all this on this video for you. But I just, and you could also, actually, let me do something, see if I'll do something different on this one. I did dots for my sample layout. I just did little dots, but I think what I'll do for this one is I'll do some little lines. Let's see if I can get us straightened up again. Sorry, I think I may need to invest in a little bit better system. So instead of the dots, which you guys know how to do a dot, right? I think I'm going to do lines. And I think I will use the quote unquote fine tip side. And I can just do these freehand. You may not feel as comfortable doing them freehand, but I think pen artwork like this is something that, you know, we used to do kind of back in the day, in the early days of scrapbooking in the 90s, when we didn't have many gadgets to keep us, to do the work for us. We had to come up with a lot of things ourselves. There weren't a lot of, oops, I'm too far off the screen. I'll fix it. There weren't a lot of resources. And so we did a lot of things with pen. And I still think it really can add so much, and it's inexpensive. You don't, you always have enough, you know, you don't like run out when you're an inch from the end or need, you know, one more piece. You can also do a like a dot dash thing. I remember that one was a fun technique. I can't really do it at this point and mess it up, but you know, it gives it a little bit of whimsy, makes it. I just think it adds definition to the edge, and especially with this geometric argyle pattern, I think it's really fun to have kind of these lines. I'm trying to keep them close to the same size, but I'm not necessarily succeeding. But I think that's okay. All right, I'm not going to do the rest. You guys can figure out on your own. Yeah, definitely my camera arm is sagging. Maybe it's just been overworked today. All right, and then I chose to put, I'm going to use this. My pictures aren't here yet, so later on in the series, I hope to be able to show you some of the finished products with the pictures, but of course I procrastinated ordering my photos, and so they are not here yet. But as soon as I get them, I'm going to use this for our night before Christmas. We have a tradition in our family of reading the Christmas story from the Bible and acting out the nativity story with our little Fisher-Price nativity. And I'm going to put those pictures on here. I'm not exactly sure which direction the photos are going to go, but I know that I have some that I can crop really small. So I chose to do, these are 4x6 mats, and these are 2 3/4 inch mats. But you may want to wait and see what, you know, what your pictures are. I think you could do lots of different things. Yeah, it's the swing arm that my camera's on that is sagging. So let's just play around with this. I know that my good friend Noreen Smith used to always have just pre-cut photo mats. Sorry. She also has a much nicer camera setup, and maybe I need to follow in her footsteps on that. But let's cut some photo mats. I'm just going to cut some 4x6s and some 4x4s. And of course, this will depend completely on your photos. And maybe you don't want to use the mats. That would be fine with me. I often don't use mats. But when I'm doing a layout and I don't have pictures to go on it right away, I like to use mats just so that I can visualize kind of what I was thinking as far as what my layout was going to be. This one I'm going to do, so I'm going to cut some 4x4 mats, but just because my piece is 9 inches wide, 4x4s I don't think are going to fit very well, which is why I made the smaller mats for my sample. All right, but you could, goodness sakes, we are all flopping around here. Okay, seriously, I do not know what's going on with this. whole thing is tipping. All right. Okay. So you could absolutely do something like this. You know, have a couple of your photos like this. I feel like I did this on the last video, so maybe you don't want to do that. Or you could do those across the top, you know, on this side, and then have one down here. Absolutely feel free to go off the edge. You can put both of them like this. Do 1, 2, 3, 4. And these off the edge. That kind of looks cool with, oops, except I'm off the edge too. Okay, something like this. You also could put something over here. Don't feel like you can't cover up these little half circles. Remember, these are supposed to be an accent to your paper and not, I mean, to your photos and not like the focus. If you have to cover up something, cover up the paper and the embellishments. Don't leave off a picture. And then put your embellishments on. And so you'll see on this one, I did the, because it's going to be Christmas Eve, I did the little fireplace and a wreath, which I put up on foam squares, and the little church. So stay tuned for this series. Hopefully my pictures are supposed to be here not too far into the month, and I'll be able to come back and add these photos. And so that'll be a bonus at the end of a future video in this series. I will show you the finished layouts with my photos. But you do you with your photos, however you need to position your photos. If you don't have like religious-y type photos, you can leave this off. And this layout, especially if you don't have Christmas photos. The other thing I thought that I could use this for, my son's birthday is in December, and it sometimes gets lost in Christmas. But I could still use this Christmas paper. It would coordinate with my other December pictures because it is part of this Joy to the World collection, but it wouldn't be very Christmassy. I could make this birthday. I could do something birthday. It'll look a lot better once I get the pen marks around the, you know, the pen art. I do really like this with the tiny pictures though. So if you have pictures you can crop down, if you can print them smaller. I love the print to size app. I think that might only be on iPhone, but I know there's a similar version for Android, or you can, you know, do them in your different kinds of software. What's the Pocket Page? Project Life, I think, has an app that you can adjust the sizes before you have your pictures printed. So that would work for that too. All right. So this is the basic layout. And like I say, I'm going to wrap this up right now, this video, but I am going to just pause and make another sample of a different layout and with different paper, just so you can see it. Actually, I'm just going to keep going. Okay. I'll pause for a second while I choose the papers, but I think I might use that new Enchanted paper, and we'll just see how it looks. Basically the same layout, but not using the Christmas. So don't tell anyone that I broke from my own Christmas in July, but maybe for Christmas you got some princesses. So I'd love to see what you do with this. If you don't want to see me do this whole thing again, you don't have to, but yeah, always feel free to share your videos with me, or your finished layouts with me, on my Nicole's Scrapbooks page, or you can contact me through NicoleScrapbooks.com. All right. Thanks so much. Thanks for watching, those of you that are leaving, and hang on just a second for those of you that are staying. Okay, let's see how speedily we can do a layout together. I think I'm going to use, actually, now that I just picked pink as my background, I think I'm going to use this, the hot air balloon paper. Oh, look, I could do the exact same layout, but I could use this argyle. That could actually be really cute with the same argyle pattern, but I'm not going to, because you already know it looks like it's argyle. But I think I want to use the hot air balloons, which is this piece. That would be really fun. And I think I'll use this as my contrasting piece. Is that too much? This is the wrong color. I can do the plaid. I'll do the plaid. That's cute. All right. And I was going to use pink as my base, but because I'm using the these little clouds, I think I'm going to use the baby blue. Okay, so I'll use the baby blue, and that will leave me the pink to be my little half circles, because I was going to have to use this retired grape cardstock. I don't have any more of the purple ice. I've got some coming. But yeah, I'll use the pink as my little half circles. Okay, so let's see how quickly this will go together now that I've done it once before and I know exactly what I'm doing. So I'm going to start with this paper. Again, I'm going to cut off, cut this at 9 inches. So basically I'm cutting off 3 inches. If you don't want to fold out your arm, you could just do the subtraction. And then because I'm doing it so that the edge piece is over here, I'm going to flip it over so that I get the 1.5 inches. I guess that wouldn't matter either way, because it's not like we're connecting the two pieces. Okay, so these two pieces, and then I'm going to take a piece of this that is 6.5 inches. And just because I love this ombre in the back, I'm going to make sure that I cut it in the direct. Actually, I kind of want to use the ombre on the back. I love that ombre. How I cut off the pink. All right, I'm going to cut it this way, and then we'll decide once I get it going. So those are the main cuts I need to do. And then I'm going to punch my circles from the soft pink. Again, we need 5 of them. Okay, and we'll cut these in half. And then we're going to play around with it. So if you don't want to do Christmas in July, you could do this with anything. You could do this with baby or, back to school. I mean, this is just a really versatile layout. And I probably was partially inspired by a layout on Pinterest. I feel like I saw a layout on Pinterest that had kind of the square with the half circles on the side. But it's such a common idea. I don't really have a specific layout that I'm copying. I do love to look at layouts on Pinterest, but a lot of times what I do is I look at the layouts and then I close out my Pinterest and just let those ideas percolate in my own brain so that it's my own original idea, just inspired by things I've seen there. So here we go with all of our pieces. All right, I don't know which side I'm going to use. I kind of wanted to use the plaid. That is really cute with the plaid. But oh, this ombre speaks to my heart. I love the ombre. Oh, that's a hard decision. Oh boy, I'm going to stick this one down while I decide. Yeah, if only I were brave enough to do a Facebook Live or a YouTube Live, and then you guys could tell me in real life. Although I did this for a fundraiser recently. I did I let the people vote, and it was pretty much evenly divided, so maybe it wouldn't help me at all. All right, I'm going to follow my heart, and I'm going to go with the ombre. Even though that wasn't my original plan, that's sometimes how it goes. And again, I want the darker color at the bottom. That's that same visual weight thing I was talking about. The light at the top and the dark at the bottom. I also think that's the way rainbows go, right? With the purple on the bottom. Uh-oh, this is a little bit longer. Look at that. Apparently I didn't cut that right. Do you see how it didn't match up? So I'm gonna have to trim just a hair off of this guy. I don't know what I did wrong. That's a 9. Oh, look, it's not straight. That's what happened. Not straight. I don't know why I'm not cutting straight tonight. It might be time for a new mat. Of course, I'm blaming the mat when it's probably, user error. I'll just reposition these. And I did not use repositionable adhesive, but you notice I really was able to pick this up and move it. There is that grace period with the regular tape runner that I really like. All right, so here's my 0 centering ruler. Oh, it's so much easier to see on here. Should have done this one the first time. Oh, except we're doing Christmas in July. Don't tell anyone. Yeah, so I cut a little short of 9. That's obviously my problem. So that's why it's nice to just kind of start with the center. And you see it's going to the 7/8 on either side. Hopefully you can see that, the 7/8 measurement on the 0 centering ruler. That's how I'm positioning, is right on that. Okay, and then I'll do the outsides. I'll get that positioned as best I can. That one doesn't feel very straight. Let's see. This one feels a little not straight. I think I was positioning it against the ruler and the ruler wasn't quite straight. There, I think this is looking really cute. Yeah, I want to line it up with the paper more than the ruler. Oh, I was talking to somebody recently about how even when you have cardstock, it is so hard not to take this piece and flip it over before you put the adhesive on it, even though it's the same on both sides. Why do we do that? Our brains are just wired that way. Although there have been times when I've put the adhesive on the wrong side of my designer paper, so I guess I need to think about what I'm doing. All right, so here's this. And then you could absolutely use some photo mats. This might actually go well with white. You could even use the pink photo mats here. That would be really cute, maybe with the 2 like photo mats like that on that side. I don't know if I want to put photo mats on this ombre. But anyway, so you can see that this exact same layout looks very different when you change the papers that you use with it. So even if you don't want to use Christmas in July, if you want to do something else, the same layout is versatile enough to use for lots of different techniques. So I'd love to know, A, if you watched till the end, please let me know that you watched the end, how we feel about having me add this little bonus thing on at the end. And B, what if you're going to use the Joy to the World, if you're going to do this as a Christmas layout, or if you're going to use a different collection or a different theme, I'd love to know what you're planning to use when you create this layout, whether or not you want to actually share a photo of the layout with me through my Facebook or through my through email. If you're not on Facebook, I know there are several of you that I have talked to via the comments or even like through email, or a couple of you I've talked to on the phone that are not on Facebook at all. And I really appreciate you just as much as I appreciate my Facebook peeps. It's just so much easier for me there. But I love to see what you guys are doing too. So feel free to email me if you want to email me a copy of your layout, a picture of your layout so I can see it. I would love to see your finished results. You can find me through NicoleScrapbooks.com. Okay, thanks very much. Thanks for watching to the very end, and I'll be back again soon with another Christmas in July layout.